1897, Lydia Johnson became known as the black girl so brilliant, even science could not explain her. What if a 13-year-old girl from the shadows of Boston could solve equations that left the greatest minds at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology speechless? Today, we unfold a hidden historical truth that many have never heard, a story buried under layers of doubt, fear, and the rigid beliefs of an era that refused to accept what stood before it. Lydia Johnson entered the world in a modest home on the edges of Boston's South End in 1884. Her mother, Eleanor, worked long hours as a cleaning woman at the institute, scrubbing floors and emptying waste bins from lecture halls filled with scholars who debated the frontiers of mathematics and physics. Eleanor raised Lydia alone after her husband passed away early, teaching her daughter to read from discarded newspapers and old textbooks left behind by students. No one expected much from a black child in those days, yet Lydia absorbed knowledge with a hunger that seemed boundless.
By the time she turned 10, Lydia could calculate complex arithmetic problems in her head faster than most adults could write them down. She fixed broken clocks around the neighborhood and explained mechanical principles to repairmen twice her age. Her mother worried about such a sharp mind in a world that offered few opportunities, but she encouraged Lydia quietly, hiding books under their small kitchen table. The girl spent nights poring over borrowed volumes on algebra, geometry, and even early calculus concepts that professors taught in advanced classes. One cold evening in late 1897, everything changed. Professor Harrison Webb, a respected mathematician at MIT, stayed late in his laboratory reviewing difficult problems related to emerging theories in differential equations. These problems had stumped his colleagues for weeks. As he stepped away for a moment, he left papers scattered across a desk. When he returned, a small figure stood there, pencil in hand, scribbling notations across the sheets. It was Lydia Johnson, who had slipped in while helping her mother with evening cleaning duties.
Professor Webb froze. The solutions before him were not only correct, but elegant, revealing insights that pushed beyond the standard approaches discussed in faculty meetings. He questioned the girl gently at first. How did she arrive at this? Where had she learned these methods? Lydia answered calmly, her voice steady, explaining steps that combined intuition with precise logic. Webb called in other faculty members. One by one, they examined her work. Some grew silent. Others demanded explanations, unable to believe a child, let alone a black girl from the cleaning staff, could grasp concepts they struggled to teach graduate students. Word spread quickly through the institute. Whispers turned into debates that spilled into the streets of Boston. In 1897, prevailing scientific thought often relied on racial hierarchies, claiming intellectual differences between groups. Scholars published papers and delivered lectures, asserting that certain minds were simply incapable of advanced reasoning. Lydia's abilities struck at the heart of those ideas like a sudden storm. Professors who had built careers on such theories now faced a living challenge that could not be dismissed easily. Suspicion mixed with fascination. Some viewed Lydia as a curiosity to be studied. Others saw a threat that needed careful handling. Professor Webb, to his credit, advocated for her education. He arranged informal sessions where she could learn under supervision, providing books and problems that tested her limits. Lydia thrived. She proposed original solutions to long-standing puzzles in number theory and offered fresh perspectives on mechanical engineering designs. Her mind moved with such speed and creativity that seasoned instructors sometimes struggled to keep pace. Yet tension grew in the background. Influential figures in academic circles began to question how this was possible. Private meetings discussed her case in hushed tones. One prominent racial theorist, associated with institutions promoting craniometry and other pseudoscientific measurements, demanded examinations. They claimed her genius must stem from some anomaly, perhaps an error in testing or external influence. Lydia endured measurements of her skull, tests of her reflexes, and endless questioning sessions that left her exhausted. Through it all, she continued to solve problems with remarkable accuracy, her focus unbroken even under pressure. Her mother, Eleanor, sensed the danger mounting. She had lived through enough discrimination to know that exceptional talent in a black child could invite harm rather than opportunity. Eleanor tried to shield Lydia, limiting her visits to the institute, but the girl's curiosity pulled her back. Late one night, after another session with Professor Webb, Lydia vanished. Searches began immediately. Her mother alerted authorities, but responses were slow in a city where priorities often favored certain neighborhoods over others. Professor Webb grew increasingly concerned as days passed without word. Rumors circulated about a private facility outside the city, sometimes called Brightwater Institute in hushed conversations, where difficult cases were sent for further observation. Some said it operated under the guise of scientific advancement, but served to isolate those who disrupted established beliefs. Webb made discreet inquiries, facing resistance at every turn. Colleagues who once praised Lydia's work now avoided his gaze. Documents disappeared. Records of her solutions were locked away or reattributed.
Months dragged on. Eleanor never stopped searching, supported by a small network of community members who believed in justice. Eventually, fragments of information emerged. Lydia had been taken for extended study. Reports described her continuing to work on advanced problems, even in confinement, her brilliance undimmed despite isolation and deprivation. She reportedly developed new approaches to equations involving multiple variables, ideas that hinted at concepts far ahead of her time. Yet the strain showed. Her health suffered under the conditions, and her once vibrant spirit faced constant tests. Professor Webb confronted several administrators, demanding answers. He described her abilities in detail, arguing that true science required embracing exceptional cases rather than suppressing them. His efforts met with warnings and professional setbacks. The academic world of 1897 was not ready to rewrite its foundational assumptions, especially when challenged by a young black girl. Some accounts suggest interventions by influential allies eventually led to her release, though weakened and forever changed by the experience. Other versions leave her fate more uncertain, lost to the deliberate silences of history.
Lydia Johnson's story reveals the cost of brilliance in an unforgiving era. She demonstrated that intelligence knows no boundaries of race or background, yet society responded with fear instead of celebration. Her solutions, if preserved, might have accelerated progress in mathematics and engineering. Instead, many were sidelined or forgotten, their origins obscured. Eleanor continued working, holding on to memories of her daughter's extraordinary mind. Professor Webb carried regret, later reflecting in private writings on the missed opportunity to nurture such talent openly. In the years that followed, similar cases appeared across the country, each one chipping away at outdated beliefs. Lydia's brief emergence served as an early crack in the wall of pseudoscience that justified inequality. Though her name rarely appears in standard textbooks, those who study the period recognize echoes of her influence in later achievements by Black mathematicians and scientists who built upon uncredited foundations. This chapter in Black history in America reminds us how prejudice can blind even the most educated minds. Lydia Johnson, at just 13, stood as proof that human potential defies easy explanation or control.